You know, I got a story to tell you in regards to that. So the day before I became a partner in my business, we had a little party, you know, to celebrate it. I says, well, if you all got something you got something you need to something bad to say to me, now's the time to do it, because tomorrow will be a different story.
And did they?
Oh, in a joking way, put it that way.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. That's okay. Would you please just join us in the Lord's Prayer?
Our
Father, who art
in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses,
as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us
from
from evil.
evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
And the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Up close and personal. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test, please.
First, is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much. So I wanted to start off. Okay, perfect. We have a guest who is very familiar to, I think, many of us, Jennifer Rohrig, and she has spoken with our club in the past. She was with the Census and now is with the Department of Economic Development. And Jennifer, is there anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi to everybody and thank Ashley for inviting me. And I would like to speak to you all on the 20th too, but excited to be on that. So thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have you. We're happy for that. And then Sarah, she has some information she wanted to share with us, some exciting information.
I do. Roberta Underdunk of the Strand contacted me today, and she wanted me to publicize this at Rotary and see if Rotary would like to get a team together for their scavenger hunt. We're having a scavenger hunt on September 25th, which will highlight a lot of the historical buildings in Moundsville and the history of the city. It's from 10 to 3. It is $20 per person. You only need a 2-person team. You're able to have as many people as you want, but the minimum is 2 people. And again, it benefits the Strand. You can register online. So she wanted to see if anyone had interest in doing that. They only have 1 team signed on right now. So they're really trying to hit the pavement and see if they can get some other organizations involved.
Would it be okay, Sarah, if anybody's interested, if they email you or reach out to you? Okay, great. I think that's a great opportunity. Do you know what time that starts?
It's 10 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the same day? It is the same day as the Grandview Park Fall Festival, so I unfortunately would not be able to do this, but I highly encourage you. We're not going to be able to put a booth together. It's a long day, and we would have to have a lot of participants there. So I highly encourage you. She only needs 1 more member, but I would love to see a handful of you go out and do the scavenger hunt in Mount. That sounds like a bunch of fun. I wish I could join you.
10 to 1. I'm sorry, less of a commitment.
Oh, 10 to 1.
And unfortunately, I can't do it. My bridal shower's the next day. So I'm running around like a baby with my head cut off, so we do need 2.
Okay, but two is a lot better than finding like 12 people for the fall festival. So I feel that we can do that.
And then it's really great if anyone who has a Rotary t-shirt would volunteer for that, and then we could get photos.
That's good.
Said, I'm volunteering at this scavenger hunt, so I can't be a part of this team. But that would just be good press, I guess, for us. Because can I tell them what she had said? She didn't know that we existed. She didn't know that Moundsville Rotary existed.
I believe that.
So if we could, 1, have a presence there, but also 2, display that presence, I think that'd be really good.
I unfortunately cannot be there, but I have a long sleeve t-shirt and I have a polo that anybody can wear.
Yeah, I can donate my shirt.
So I think I bought a t-shirt. I don't think I got one. Who did we do that with?
Was that just the recent one about like 6 months ago?
I don't
Dorothy?
think you got one. I didn't get one? I thought I was down.
I can
You
definitely.
may have registered with Dorothy originally, and that one never
Oh, okay.
was fulfilled. And then Stacy took
There
it on
was a
herself.
couple.
And there's me and Mike were the only ones that had paid. Dorothy.
No, I mean, up in Grandview, I gave you.
Oh, it was Katrina's
Okay.
and
Yeah,
then
there was
somebody
just a
else.
couple.
Yeah.
I'll double check, but I don't think
Where did they get that name?
Jessica.
Okay, so she could do one for me. So WVU, well, I don't know, but like, I'm like, well, what's the game? WVU doesn't play until 7:30 that night.
Good information to know.
WVU.
So it won't affect the fall festival or the scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So great information to know. Kind of since we're talking about different ideas for our club to participate in and get our name out there, because it is very true. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, before I was invited to the Rise Against Hunger, I personally, and that was in 2019, I didn't know Moundsville had a Rotary Club. I didn't even know what Rotary was. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. Joni sent this over to me, and I thought this was a really cool idea. So they're doing a Dungeon of Horrors down here at the penitentiary. It's on October 25th. It's a Monday, and it doesn't cost our club anything to participate. And what we can do is set up as a trick or treat station, and we can, you know, maybe have some information about Rotary, but obviously just hand out treats or something for the kids. I will send an email out about this, but it's from 6 to 8 p.m. I don't think we would need many people. I think Joni was definitely wanting to do it. How does that sound? Does the club want to support this event and we get our name out there? And
I think too, if we get even, I think, was it 3 volunteers, and we can consider that like a project, so if we get 3 people to do that, I think that's at least community oriented.
And even if only 2 people can show up, maybe somebody can do the shopping ahead of time so that we can consider 3. But I definitely will participate in some way, so I'll send an email out about it.
October 25th.
October 25th, it's a Monday from 6 to 8 at the Pen.
Do that, do that.
Awesome.
I'll do it.
I don't know if we have a table or not, but what's negative to have a table? Then it could be around.
If not, you can come visit us, so that's fine. All right, so just wanted to briefly bring up, the Marshall County Chamber of Commerce sent out their voting for the board members. I don't think any of these are Rotarians, so do we just not vote if it's not a member of our club?
No, you can vote. We want to vote.
We still vote. But
Okay.
there's only as many as there.
I didn't know how fair it would be, you know what I mean? It'd be like this person wants this person or something
There's
like that.
only as many as are eligible, so it really kind of doesn't matter who you vote for.
You can vote them all, or?
It tells you how many to
You can
choose.
vote.
But you gotta do at least 6, don't you?
Six,
Well,
yeah.
6 people are coming off, and I think there's only 6 on the application. So,
But you can only vote for a maximum of 6. 1, 2,
There's
3,
like
4,
6
5,
on there.
6. So do we just vote for them all?
It's kind of a.
Is
Yeah, to be
okay?
fair, I
It's a
I
moot
guess.
point.
we
We're
could do
either
that.
vote for them all or none, because
Yeah.
we won't be able to come to a consensus.
We'll vote for them all.
Vote for them all.
Vote
they're
for
on
'em
there,
all.
yeah.
We'll do that. I'll send that in. All right.
Or you could just add Bob's name to it.
just as a write-in option.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a
There
write-in
are 2
option,
write-in
so,
options,
yeah.
just so you know. Just a friendly reminder to email me or Brianna any club projects or information you've had from the past, pictures, projects, so we can put some of that speaker information together.
I am still
I
working
know.
on the website, so it's not gonna fall within the 2-week deadline.
It's okay. I still haven't sent all my stuff over to you yet, so I am just
It is a
involved.
work in progress, and then we're still moving forward for those who weren't here last time.
Down to the
About it. We're
fair.
still
I
doing a
went to my
monthly
basement,
newsletter
took
rather
the
than a
funky
weekly
away.
because less than
think everyone
40%
was
of
really
our
ratty, we
members
just
post
built
it every week. So
And we're still doing that recap every single week after we have a speaker on Facebook, so I feel like
I forgot to do the one this morning. I dropped the ball, but
You're not getting fired, don't try.
if someone else wants to do this, I will gladly let someone else do this. But yeah, it'll be a monthly newsletter. So anything you want to get out, it'll typically, I think, probably go out October 1st. So anything you want in that, please make sure you get it to me before ideally September.
thank you, Brianna. Sharon, do you have anything you want to share with the club?
I do.
Yes, all right.
We have a guy coming from St. Clairsville Rotary to talk about their flag project on October 6th. But we need to get this out now. Like, it needs to be, we need to get out there that we're going to do it.
Did Coop email you that, like the templates and the letters and stuff?
Yes.
Do you want to forward that to me and I'll do a letter and then Brianna can proofread
Okay.
my work and then we can move forward?
Well, we don't know all the details of what we're doing yet, so we can't be too specific. But I just want to get our name on it, on the project that we're doing it. Because I just don't want, I asked an insider if Lions Club is talking about it yet, and so far we don't think they are, but the Lions are doing it, and I know.
Oh,
Keep it
you put
quiet.
it out there.
No one's
Now we're
having
gonna
it.
do it.
I don't have anything against the Lions, but we've talked about this for years, and we're finally doing it. And now I don't want to get to this point and then not do it. So if we could get something on Facebook soon, very soon, that, you know, watch for more details. Mounsville Rotary is going to be doing a Flags for Heroes project next spring or something. And we had our first meeting for Rise Against Hunger. Brianna was there for our club, and Larry Blaylock was there from New Martinsville Club. No one was there from Wheeling.
Were you in Wheeling? Did you meet in Wheeling?
We did. Well, they don't have a person yet. They don't have a person. Rabbi Lee said he was finding one. He's all about it and so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But I hate to say Wheeling's, they've always been, Wheeling gets in on it late. And Rabbi even said to me one time, he said, well, last time, didn't y'all just plan it, we just showed up? No, not really. So I'll rattle his cage a little bit and tell him that we actually did meet, because I told him we were going to meet. We can't wait on you. It's like, we can't wait on you any longer to find somebody. We are meeting.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell him that we did meet, and he'll shake somebody out. But we are going to do it like the end of March, 1st of April, correct?
Ideally,
Hopefully.
depending on what facilities are.
I haven't had a chance to, and Nan, I was going to ask Nan today, I'll call her. We can't do it where we did it before. So we're looking at other places. We thought about the John Marshall Gym. Does anybody have connections that could ask about the John Marshall Gym? I was going to ask Nan to ask. And St. Jude Hall, because it's flat and lots of parking, and the truck could back up to the door there too. I don't know. I don't have a feel for how they are about renting right now.
I think Lori goes out, she always had the connections with
St. Jude,
Oh,
yeah.
St. Jude.
St. Jude, and I'm sure she's still a member, so I'm sure she would.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
connected. Mike's
Oh,
connected, and yeah, we're okay.
Just a thought, I know we couldn't do it in the banquet hall at the park, but we do have that pool club room where we have bingo. I don't know if that room's big enough, but it's all on one floor.
Oh, it is. Is there a place a truck could back up and unload all the stuff?
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing, is the truck has to be able to back in.
I mean, we
Well,
have
I
a
mean,
roundabout
St.
right in
Jude
front of it, and we
Right.
have handicap parking in front of there, so.
They could probably carry this. Yeah, there's a ramp going into it, right?
Yeah,
So they
I mean,
can
they're not
put
gonna be
stuff
like
in the
right up
front
against
door.
the door, but it would probably be a 20-foot walk.
That's okay. Well, they weren't right against the door down there.
Yeah.
either. As long as they can put it on like dollies and things, and sometimes.
It could not be a Saturday though, because that's where bingo is held.
Oh,
But yeah, Saturday's usually when we have it.
yeah.
Well, keep in mind also, we've only done it once before, and while it happened to be on a Saturday, there's nothing preventing us from making it a Sunday.
It could be
or-
probably a Sunday. We had decided before that Saturday was the best day for most people.
But I remember last time, well, and again, my life and probably Joni's revolves around WVU football, so or it was basketball, I think because I remember me and
October is
Joni.
Bridge Day.
Oh, okay. Because we all had WVU stuff on in the pictures, I remember, because it just popped up on
Yeah.
my thing. And then we all like went to beat-ups or whatever afterwards to watch a game. We were like trying to get out of there by noon to do that. So
Yeah,
maybe
this will be
a
in the
Sunday
spring.
would- Yeah, oh, okay, I don't know.
And you know, maybe if we do it a Sunday, we could do it a little later, so for the churchgoers, it wouldn't interfere, you know, that way,
Right.
maybe like a 10 to something.
Okay.
I remember when we did it,
Well-
we were way more efficient than we were planning on being.
Even
I
we
feel
do
like we got
St.
out of there
Jude.
pretty quickly.
We do St. Jude, there could be an issue too with the, you know, the Saturday and Sunday they have church, you know.
Yeah, but not till 4:30.
Oh, yeah,
I
we'd
would
have
hope we
to,
would be done with
Last time we
that.
were
Yeah,
out
we'd be
by-
done and cleaned up.
Last time we were done.
If we
by
did it
12.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, it's really, really fast and efficient.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
we'd try with Grandview first, assuming the truck can get out there.
Can I give a brief overview of how this works, the Rise Against Hunger?
Yes, so Rise Against Hunger, last year, or well, I say last year, year
That's-
before last, we packaged over 20,000 meals, and those are sent. So Rise Against Hunger is an international organization that sends like these little, they're pre-packed meal packets to people in need around the world. Most of those are usually impacted by environmental disasters. It might be a lot different now with COVID, who needs them more, but they go high impact, like high critical need. And Rise Against Hunger, I think, is a Rotary International partner. So we're not the only club who does this. And last time, it was New Martinsville, Wheeling, and then us. And then I think we even briefly talked about trying to get some of the Weirton clubs to tag along to see if we were more.
We had a pretty good showing at the last one.
We had wanted to do more meals, but because we have no idea what the world will look like in March, April 2022, we're still planning on 20,000 meals instead of 30,000.
And they also send them.
And that's what they bring,
They bring everything. It's
Okay.
rice, seasoning packets, stuff like that, and we construct it and put it all in one bag.
You have a table and everybody has a station. And somebody puts
I
in-
might have a packet
Actually,
because
if
I
you
took
look
it for the
behind you.
4-H to see if they want,
If
I
you look
might
on our
have a
Facebook
packet
page,
still
it's
at
all
home that I can bring.
It was in October of 2019. And you'll see pictures. But everybody's got a job to do. Like somebody's got the vitamins and somebody's got the vegetables and protein. Somebody's got, everything. And then rice goes in last. And then it goes, people carry baskets to somebody who weighs it. If it's over, they take a little bit of rice out. And if it's under, they put a little bit of rice in. And then they give it somebody that seals it. And they give it somebody, takes it.
Then somebody like rings the bell at the end.
Every, well,
Every
10,
basically.
yeah, every 1,000 or
Every-
something.
Every 1,000.
Okay, it's every 1,000. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, they ring a gong. And they have music all the upbeat and fun.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a good
We'll
workout.
check out locations.
That's,
It is a good workout.
And
if
the
you
thing
think
with
about
the,
it.
with the park is they can't ever give anything as a free, 100% free donation.
Well, I don't know that we're gonna get for you now that we can't do the fairgrounds.
Okay, because I was just gonna
Why
say,
would we not
normally
do the
like,
fairgrounds?
normally it's
Because
a
Jim
$400
Beam does
rental,
that.
we could probably do for like
Well, they
75
do
cents.
Saturdays
Would
from
we
one
also
to
have
two.
enough parking here?
It's limited.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, there's still.
there's
the
all
walk
that
away,
lower
there's
parking
enough.
lot as well, you would just
Yeah.
have to walk up the steps.
Well, let's check the gym and St. Jude, because they're flatted and the parking is perfect.
Yeah, the parking is.
We'll
no
just
issue.
check.
But if not, we
Where we are.
have a.
So that's just that's an obstacle for this
Is
year.
there anything else the club wanted to discuss?
I don't know if the penitentiary would give their space for free, but that's another option inside the
Oh,
medical center.
Well, that would be, there'd be.
Oh,
They don't give that for free.
When I worked for the Marshall
Yeah.
County FRN, we used to do our big food drive, and every year they gave it to us
Yeah.
for free for that. But I don't know. I
You know
know that's
anybody?
not often they do that. I'm on the Council Economic Development Council, so I
Can
can
you check?
see, I can check. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that. Tall style.
Yeah, I don't know, wait, we didn't think of that. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have more than enough
You can back
room,
the
man.
truck
If
right in there.
the truck-
That's
Yeah, and that
where
was
goes up. Yeah.
huge. She's gonna really spread out good if we needed to.
Well, and we're getting people from other, like from New Martinsville to Wheeling. I mean, that's good advertisement for wherever we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm not saying people don't wanna drive up the hill, but that's a really easy location to get to.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I'm gonna turn it over to our speaker today, who many of you have already seen, met, or have seen virtually. Terry Mathias has joined us today. He is our district foundation chair, district foundation chair here. And let's welcome Terry. We're excited to have you. By the way, Terry drove almost 3 hours up to just join us for lunch and is heading back. So what a commitment. We appreciate your time and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys today. And what I really want to do today is briefly just talk to you about the impact that the Rotary Foundation makes, tell you a little bit about how it works if you're not familiar with it, and then encourage you at the end to get involved in some way with the Rotary Foundation. So the Rotary Foundation, for those of you who are newer to Rotary, is a separate entity from Rotary International. So we have Rotary International, and then we have the Rotary Foundation. That is a 501c3 that's set separately from the Rotary International. It's a 501c3, so anything you give to it is tax deductible. And that money is used to do all kinds of projects all over the United States, all over West Virginia, and all over the world. So I want to begin by talking about a project that I'm involved with here in the state of West Virginia. Several years ago, I visited the Rotary Club of Barbersville. They were doing a pancakes for polio breakfast. And I was talking to one of the individuals in that club, and they were talking about a pediatrician that they were talking with down in Cabell County. She kind of took an old bus and kind of repurposed it. And she was using that bus to go to several of the elementary schools to provide physical exams, immunizations, and some other services to the children who weren't being reached in any other way. Then she added an eye exam component of it so she could also give eye exams. One thing that was missing that she really wanted to do was to provide dental services. So that kind of started me on a journey, a long journey actually. But over the course of the next couple of years, we decided to see if we could somehow help this pediatrician meet that need. So we met with a lot of different dentists. We met with a lot of different organizations. And to make a real long story short, basically, we developed a project between what at that time was the Southern District of West Virginia and Marshall University Oral Health Department. So we would provide the funding through a global grant, and Marshall Oral Health would provide the hygienists and the dentists to actually provide the care to the students. It was originally designed for Cabell County. Politics got in the way, I'll leave it at that. And so now we're gonna do it in Wayne County, but COVID got in the way. So it's on hold right now, but just to give you an idea of the scope of that project, basically our foundation, the money that comes back to our district, we took $19,000 of that money. That's leveraged 1-for-1 with the Rotary Foundation. We made that $38,000. And we have to have an international partner. Our international partner for that grant is a Rotary called the Shanagar. We work in India. I'll tell you more about them in a little bit. They put in 5,000, and then that gets matched. They put in 10, and that gets matched 50 cents on the dollar at that time. So basically, we took $19,000 and through the global grant process, turned it into $53,000. We purchased all the equipment. We have mobile dental equipment that we can take into the schools. We have supplies. We're all ready to go. But COVID came. So we're in a holding pattern right now, but we're hoping, I don't know when we're hoping to start. Maybe spring of 22, probably most likely fall of 22. We have 2 schools identified in Wayne County. Those will be our first schools in which we participate. But that's one way that the Rotary Foundation can impact the local community. And we're working with the chair of Marshall Oral Health, and he thinks this can be statewide because there's a huge need. There's probably a huge need in your county for children who don't get dental care because either they get overlooked, they don't have a responsible adult, they're raised by their grandparents who don't have any teeth, so they're like, why do they need teeth? I don't have any teeth. So, but all of you hopefully know that, a child's dental health is extremely important because it impacts everything else. If they have a toothache, they can't pay attention. And so it's really important. So that's one thing that the Rotary Foundation is doing in the state of West Virginia. Internationally, the Rotary Foundation does a lot of different things. We are partnering now also with a Rotary Club in India. For those of you that were at the District Assembly, we actually had that person zoom in and talk to us about the dialysis beds that we added to a center he's been working on for years. So we're partnering with a club in India to provide some dialysis to people who desperately need it. And our district is also partnering with a club in Pakistan. Same thing, doing dialysis. So there's a lot of different needs that we can meet through the Rotary Foundation. So the Rotary Foundation channels its money through grants globally, but then as some of you hopefully are aware, we also channel things through what are called district grants. And I've asked Ashley to talk a little bit about the grant you did this year, and then you just applied for a grant now too. So I wanted her to talk briefly about that.
Yeah, so I think most of you are more familiar with our grants than I am myself. I just got involved this year, which was a wonderful experience. But last year and this year, again, we applied for grants for Wells Springs Pregnancy Center. And Wells Springs, this one is here in Moundsville. They are ran by the Church of God down there. You know, First Street, and you make a right past the dollar store, and they have it looks like a house, but from the outside, but from the inside, it is like you are shopping in a very nice department store. They have every single thing that you would need for babies' needs, and they help anybody that came to them with a positive pregnancy test, no questions asked. If they want to have the child, they're going to facilitate that. If they want to give the child up for adoption, they're going to facilitate that. If whatever their wish is, that's what they want to help them with. It's something that we get to actually go and do the shopping for. I look around and I know many of you have been on that shopping experience. But we get to buy them diapers, formula, clothing, car seats, high chairs, all those things that they need to provide to these young mothers or any mothers out there at all. So very fulfilling. I know I just stopped down and talked to Teresa just yesterday, and they're just so grateful for our help. And they're 100% nonprofit, all ran by the church, and they actually had 3 church members out there scraping and painting this old house yesterday. So I got to dig all over them and tell them how wonderful they were. But you know, I'm very grateful that our club chose such a wonderful project to support. Thank you.
So everything that I've been talking about as far as money that goes to global grants and district grants goes through what's called the annual fund. Okay, so I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds, but just want to help understand a little bit about the Rotary Foundation. There's 3 main sources or categories as far as what the Rotary Foundation manages. The first is called the annual fund, and that's money that you can give to the annual fund. It's used, it's basically what it is that money is taken and invested, and 3 years later, half of that money comes back to our district. And that money then can be used for district grants like the ones Ashley talked about, or global grants like the one I've talked about. So we're making a difference both in West Virginia and throughout the world. So that's the annual fund. The second fund is Polio Plus. Okay, so you all know that's our #1 priority, right? Hopefully maybe the newer members don't, or soon-to-be members don't know that. But our #1 priority is to eradicate polio from the face of the earth. It started in the 80s in the Philippines. And one of these days, it'll be realized in a lot of your lifetimes, the earth will be polio-free. One of the very interesting side effects of COVID, it locked down a lot of people. So there's 2 countries that still have polio in the world. Does anyone know who they are? Pakistan?
And
Afghanistan. Okay. So Pakistan and Afghanistan, there are still cases of wild polio. Last year, 2020, there were over 120 some cases, I think, between those 2 countries. This year, there have been 2 cases. And they were both in January. One in Pakistan, one in Afghanistan. Wow. So we're getting, so COVID has done a good thing in that regard. The country has to be 3 years polio-free before it's certified by the World Health Organization. But we're almost, believe it or not, we're coming up on 1 year of no cases. So don't know what the future holds, especially in Afghanistan, but from what I understand, the Taliban is very much behind the polio eradication effort. They don't want to be last behind Pakistan. But we do face some challenges, and unfortunately, some immunization workers have been murdered in those countries over the years trying to get to children. So there is still an ongoing effort to eradicate polio on the face of the earth. So you can give directly to Polio Plus, giving to the Rotary Foundation. Right now, there is an ongoing 2-for-1 match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So every year, if Rotary gives $50 million, the Gates Foundation gives $100 million. So they're able to match that. So that's an ongoing for at least the next couple of years. But we will still be immunizing children against polio for years to come. I had the privilege back in January of 17 to go to India for 2 weeks. I was able to administer polio drops to some other children in India. It changes your perspective on a lot of things. When these grandchildren come holding their babies and just say, here, give me the 2 drops. And so because even though there hasn't been a case of polio in India for many years now, it's obviously right upstairs there in their neighbors in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And there's about 60 countries in the world where we're still immunizing against polio. Through the whole polio eradication effort, there have been a lot of other things put in place that you don't even hear about as far as being able to track. So they track the sewage system, they track all the diseases that are going on for a lot of these countries. And remember Ebola, how it came on the scene and left real quick? That was because of everything that was in place because of the polio eradication efforts. They were able to track it and squash it pretty quickly. So there's a lot of other things that are coming out of the Polio Plus efforts. So that's something that you can do to help as far as giving the foundation, is that something you will donate to. And then the third area is what's called the endowment fund. It sounds like what it is. Basically, that's if you want to give a legacy to the Rotary Foundation, you can give through a lot of different means to the endowment fund. And the endowment fund is to conserve the future of Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation. The principal never gets spent in the endowment fund. So but basically all the earnings every year get put toward the different work that the Rotary Foundation is doing and Rotary International is doing throughout the world. So you have the annual fund, 50% comes back every 3 years. Polio Plus, which goes to the eradication of polio, and then the endowment fund, which is used to kind of secure the future of Rotary. You can give to one or any or all of those. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just giving a high level picture today. If anybody wants to talk to any of that stuff in more detail, I'd be happy to do that, sit down with you and do that. Okay, so the way that you can give, there's, like I said, there's many ways that you can give. I know, I'm not sure, I just looked at the report. Some of you in this room are Paul Harris Fellows already, and thank you for your support. If you are one, can anybody tell me what that means? If you're a Paul Harris Fellow?
It means you've donated $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation.
Right, it means you've given $1,000 at some point to the Rotary Foundation. That could be any of those pots that I talked about, polio, annual fund, anything along those lines. Okay, so today we have a brand new Paul Harris Fellow. What I did as a challenge to all the club presidents, I basically challenged the club presidents, if you give $500 to the Rotary Foundation, I have points because I give regularly to the foundation. I can match them and make them a Paul Harris Fellow. So I've challenged all the club presidents. This was only a club president challenge. 4 took me up on it, and 1 has already accomplished that. She's given $500. So I've given her 500 points, and I'm very pleased to announce to you today that your club president, Ashley Ware, is our newest Paul Harris Fellow.
I know the box.
I know the box.
Let me get a video, Carrie.
Poke you with that. But congratulations, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. Was it, gotta hold that smile.
Don't appreciate it. So what I'd like to all of you to consider today is, and I don't know what your current level of giving is to the foundation, the Rotary Foundation is your charity. So as a Rotarian, I only give to a couple organizations, and Rotary Foundation is one of the organizations I give to. To get your foot in the water, if you've not given anything recently, or if you've not given anything ever, is I would want you to consider become a sustaining member of the Rotary Foundation. And what that means is that you promise to give $100 a year to the Rotary Foundation. That can be sending checks quarterly, or we have Rotary Direct, which you can send. The minimum of that is $10 a month. You can set it to come out of your checking account on the 3rd of the month, $10. You won't miss it. Just 2 less trips to Starbucks. But it'll do a lot of good in the world. It'll help not only the state of West Virginia and what we can do to make a difference, but it'll also help. So consider that, if you will. Consider becoming a sustaining member. If you've given at a larger level, and I still know some of you already are Paul Harris Fellows, don't stop just because you got 1 Paul Harris Fellow. You can keep going and give more. For those of you that are able, the next level of giving is the Paul Harris Society. The Paul Harris Society means you give $1,000 a year. And again, that's $85 a month if you want to do that. So that's something that if you're, and I know not all of us are able to do that, but that's one basically nice thing with your significant other that you don't do a month so that you can give to the foundation. Because it's a very tremendous organization. When I was in India, I got to see firsthand what the Rotary Foundation does. They do so many tremendous projects all over the world. I went to in Jaipur, there's a limb center where an individual can come in the morning. They have a below the knee amputation, whether it's from polio or an accident or disease. At the end of the day, they leave walking. If it's above the knee, it takes a little longer. They got to size it a little bit differently. But in 2 days, they walk out the door with working prosthesis. The knee joint is actually developed, I think, if I remember right, by Stanford University. So there's all kinds of things like that. There's blood centers, and they're there. In the city of Chandigarh in northern India, there's Fortis Hospital. And when we were there, the Rotary Club of Chandigarh brought in about 10 children from Mongolia who had heart defects. And those children had surgery done on them, corrected their heart defects. And that's all because people like you give to the Rotary Foundation. So those are the things that the Rotary Foundation does throughout the world. Sharon?
Terry, our club, most of the people here weren't here then, but our club in 2005 did a project with Mexico.
Okay.
And we actually had 3 clubs in our district and 2 clubs in Tampico, Mexico. And all it cost our club was $500. That was our international project. So our club donated $500 to get the ball rolling. And then the other clubs, of course, donated the district grants from our district and the Mexican district to match them. Then we got money from Rotary International, and it ended up being over a $30,000 project, and that was, what, 16 years ago,
Okay.
when money went further.
Yeah.
So just $500 from us, and it impacted hundreds and hundreds of people. So, I mean, like our money, the money that we donate to them really makes a difference.
Yeah, it leverages up. I mean, it really does. That's the nice thing about the Rotary Foundation is it leverages your money. And, you know, the district grants usually are capped at about $1,000, just based on the giving that we get year after year. Today is the deadline for district grants, but I know I actually submitted hers already. The global grant, whether it's in this country or somewhere else, the minimum amount is $30,000, but that's total. So you don't have to give $30,000, but as Sharon just said, the example that they gave, that went over that maximum, that minimum amount. So you can do, this is the thing I've been challenging since I became the foundation chair a couple of years ago is, you know, I'll help anybody we can, but I'd really like to help West Virginia. So if you can come up with an idea, talk to me and we'll figure out how to do it. Just like I did that dental grant. I mean, the reason I did that dental grant was one, I wanted to do an incoming grant. That was the year I was governor-elect in the southern part of the state. I wanted to do a grant to impact West Virginia and to show that it could be done. So we can always do that. So don't think it's not possible. If you have an idea of something we can do to really impact your community, you can partner with clubs around here. You can partner with all the clubs in the district, and we can find an international partner.
What did we have the club in India donate turkeys to Mount Your Food Bank a few years ago?
That may have
That
been.
would have been our district when they were separate.
Yeah, so the
I'm
Rotary,
sure they did. It
yeah,
was like,
so the Rotary Club of Srinagar hosted me when I was in India. And I could go right now to Srinagar and I could spend as much time as I wanted to and not pay a dime in the city of Srinagar for those people. They're tremendous people. They're loving, they're kind, they're generous. They just did a grant that we gave $15,000 to provide HPV vaccine to young women. So that's something we're doing for them. But they will not hesitate to turn around and give us money. So we have organizations like that in India, in Pakistan. Any district governor or past district governor knows people in other countries that we can use to leverage those. So I guess my challenge is, one, please give and whatever you can afford, and then think big and think about how you can make a difference in Moundsville using the Rotary Foundation. Any other questions right now? Well, I'll hang around if anybody has any questions. You can get a hold of me through DACTV, whatever. I'd be happy to help you and work toward making a difference in that. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much, Terry, for making your way and joining us today. And I just wanted to bring up, because we had a phone conversation yesterday, that is 6,000.
Yeah, your club has over 6.
Yeah, so our club right now has over 6,000 points. So, and I asked Terry, was what does that mean? And he said, so, and I didn't, there's all these things that I don't know. I was like, to become a Paul Harris, do you have to go $1,000 in a calendar year? He says, no, there's no time frame. And also, with that 6,000 points, is if any of our members wanted to become one and gave $500 in donations, our club can match that with 500 points, and we have 6,800 points to give out. So just something that we can think about, you know, and it doesn't have to be something that you have to do immediately. I know a lot of us don't have, you know, extra income like that to give out every month, but if you slowly add it up, we could definitely make a difference. And I definitely donated mine to so it would be to the foundation, so we could come back in district grants, so we could help our local neighbors. That's what I did. So thank you all so much. Anything else anybody wanted to share? All right, I'll see y'all next week.
See you in 2 weeks.
I'm not gonna be here, Linda.
I'm not gonna be here. Will you miss me?
Are you
I
gonna
will
make us?
All right,
absolutely
not
miss
even
you.
close.
Not even close.
Not even
Does not
close.
sound exciting.
Who gets your chair?
Did anyone come in on
Bob may not be here, so it's yours next.
Oh, wow, I feel so honored.